All right, it's 10:02. Let's jump right in, and hopefully we can help to continue to guide our brothers and sisters towards being on time. Today, my goal with today is to get through our lesson a little bit more quickly, if that's possible for me to be more short-winded, so that we have more time for questions and answers and discussion even between all of us as a large group. So that's my goal. And today I know that we're all in Zoom, so sometimes it's difficult to jump in and to collaborate and contribute. But I really want as much as we can, even though we're bound by Zoom, for this to feel like we're in a class together, all sitting together. So really, don't be shy about jumping in, please, and adding your comments. I've got a couple of places in the lesson today where we'll even take a break and try to have some more group discussion, because I want this to be for you guys. This is you guys. This is for each one of you where you're at. This is not about me, because Lord knows my knowledge is limited, and so we want to hear from each one of you guys. So let's jump on in. Let's see. Robin, are you available to launch us in prayer today? I see that you're on. I know sometimes you're traveling. Um,
I'm home. I'm happy to do that.
that's right. All right. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
All right. Our precious Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for the opportunity that we have to be together to explore your laws for business. And Lord, I pray for Daniel as he presents, and I pray for each one of us as we listen and find ways to participate and improve our own businesses. And I pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. All right. Let me share our PowerPoint for today. Get that going. So today we're talking on the law of quality, and this is an interesting one because I think, for the most part, this is one that we all kind of inherently know. Like we know we need to have quality. But then on the other hand, when it's the end of the day, or the end of the month, and we are just getting, we want to be done with our work, it's easy for us to just kind of skip over this one. So it's an important one. We kind of all know it. Some of this will maybe a review, but it's something that we really got to integrate, because if we break this law, if we break this chain, we say that kind of throughout this course, that each one of these laws is a chain. If we break this chain, the others will all suffer and your business will suffer. All right, are you guys, give me a thumbs up if you're able to see the full screen Inspiring Better Business slide. Switching to the law of quality. Okay, seeing thumbs up there. All right, onward and upward. Let's see here. So we'll kind of just breeze through this. We're going to do the why we need law of quality. What level should we pursue, and you determine the level of quality, etc. So first, let's start off. I want to hear from somebody. I see that Grace, you are unmuted. So you're the lucky first person I can see there. But Grace, have you or someone that you know purchased a product or service that was lower in quality than expected? And tell us, would you repeat that purchase? What was your experience on that purchase that was, or service of a product or service that was lower in quality? Are you able to, I know I'm kind of just throwing you right out there right in the beginning, Grace, but are you able to share an experience that you or someone else has had? Her mic may not be working right now. Let's see here. Um, let's see. Is someone else ready and wants to jump in?
Yes.
Go for it,
Can I
Timothy.
go ahead?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I remember the last shoe I bought. Um, I bought a shoe. I liked it. Looked nice. It fit me so well. And then I reached home. I put it on. It was nice. After 3 weeks, I gave my sister to help me wash. My sister washed it, only to put it on the next day after she washed it. The skin was off, and I'm like, this shoe is just 2 weeks. It looks good. And my sister said she washed it the normal way, but the skin was peeling off. So
Mm.
since then, I'm like, I will be careful buying shoes that look nice, they look original, but they are not. And then ever since actually I haven't put it on, I haven't.
Right. And so will you recommend to your family and friends to go buy from that same shop? Or if you go buy, are you going to say, yeah, what do you tell your friends and family about that shoe shop or that shoe brand?
If I can, because there are many shops there, but if I can meet someone going there, I will tell them don't try to go there. Or I would tell them to try something more that looks more uh, durable than that shop
Right.
or than the shoes that look like that one.
Right, right. That is, and I think many of us, myself included, and I'll give my own example later in this lesson, but I think many of us, Timothy, have had that same example where we see something that looks nice, we know it might be a little lower in quality, or maybe sometimes we're surprised, but we make the purchase, and then we realize soon after we've wasted our money because now this product is or service is useless. It's falling apart. And then what do? We tell other people because the people that we love, we don't want them to have the same experience. So, Timothy, 1,000 bonus points for you in this round today. Thank you for jumping in and being brave. So first, let's start. We always want to start with our foundation, the Word of God. And I love that God. I was just talking with someone yesterday that God has inextricably linked His laws and His precepts with business. If we try to peel His laws and precepts away and separate from each other, each one of those we see as a backbone of business because business is His creation and so let's take a quick overview on that. And some of this is actually, I just was praying about this morning, and some of this is new that's not in the lesson for this week that you might have read. So past, present, and future. We see God has established the law of quality, past, present, and future. In the past, God created everything in the universe, saying it was good after each day. We're familiar with this. We see God's goodness in His creation. I don't know if you've done a study on even just the tilt of the Earth's axis. If the tilt of the Earth's axis was just a fraction different, then our world would be just a ball of ice or a burning hot, tundra, or not tundra, but a burning ball of rock like Mars. Because the earth is perfectly balanced. He took care with the quality of how he created each element of the universe. And that's just undeniable, especially once you start diving into just the math and the numbers of it all. One thing that came to mind this morning is the first temple, Solomon's temple. Today, that it's hard to exactly estimate the cost to rebuild it. But today's cost to rebuild would be over 500, not million, $500 billion US dollars. And this is for one building because of the vast amounts of gold, silver, ivory, precious jewels, not to mention imported cedar and exotic woods. And that it took over 7 years of skilled laborers to build. And this was God's dwelling place in the Old Testament. This was where God's identity was there. The rest of the world could see God there. So what was God portraying? He was portraying, again, that He is a God of quality. He doesn't cut corners. He didn't say, guys, let's start our building campaign and ooh, this is getting expensive. Let's cut this back a little bit. We want to make sure that the donations come in
bought any other shoe, and I haven't actually gone.
And so let's reduce our budget for our building campaign here because we got to keep the cost down. No, God said this is going to be awesome. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be the most extravagant building in the world at that time. That sounds like a God of quality to me. And then we see Jesus. when he comes strong out of the gate with his first miracle, was it feeding of the 5,000? No. Was it healing someone miraculously? No. I love it that his first miracle was turning water into wine, and not just turning water into any old wine. He turned water into the highest quality of wine that was recognized by all as just astounding. So we see in the past God's revealing himself as a God of quality in the past. The present, we can look at God's nature. I don't know how many of you have recently taken the time just to look at just a blade of grass or just a flower, something that's really insignificant to all of creation, to the big picture of everything. And in our eyes, it's insignificant. But if you examine even a tiny flower and just look at the detail of the petals, of the stamen in the middle of it, of how the pollen is just delicately balanced on the end of the stamen. Once you start diving into it, you have to recognize, holy cow, God is a God of quality. And what we do, how we do, and where we do matters to God. Our actions and our creations what we do is the God-given opportunity we have to bring heaven down here to earth, to restore order and create order and beauty in this fallen world. And that's the first commandment, right, that God gave Adam in the garden, was to have dominion, to turn this wild jungle into a beautiful paradise. That was his job. His job was to create order. His job was to create a quality environment. It wasn't just to just sit around and enjoy it. No, God gave Adam a job description, have dominion, create order, name the animals, create systems. And so that is how we can bring heaven down to earth, is by doing what we do with excellence, so that all of those that see around us, our brothers, our sisters, non-believers, our Muslim neighbors, that they can see, wow, there's something different going on here. They are creating quality and creating beauty in ways that I have not seen elsewhere. And why? Because we're reflecting our Creator. And then if we look at the future, we see that God, again, we see in the past in the scriptures, God revealed himself as a God of quality, of beauty. In the present, we see that with our own eyes. And in the future, we have to look forward to it as well, as we see the description of New Jerusalem. Revelations 21, we see just the opulence of a city made of gold. If you look at the foundation, it's 12 layers of precious jewels. If we look at the gates, there's pearls on them, the crystal glass sea. So we see that our future inhabitants is in heaven, the New Jerusalem, is also a dwelling place of quality. That God's not cutting corners there either. That he says, I'm going all out with quality. I'm going all out with beauty, because that is who he is. That's his identity. So that's our foundation. We could stop there and just apply this to everything we do, and it would be a game changer for how we are presenting ourselves to our community, to how we are creating our products and our services. Well, let's dive a little bit deeper. All right. So why do I need to implement the law of quality, you ask? If you're still having that question, we'll dive in deeper. But hopefully that's not a question even that we're asking today. But if you are, let's dive into it. Having poor quality can destroy a good business, even if you're following the other 11 laws of God's laws for business. As Timothy and his example gave, at the beginning of this, that the shop where he bought the shoes, they could be having great records and really doing a good job on their record keeping. They could have good customer development. They could have good systems in place for when you purchase and when the customer is taken care of. But if they're consistently selling and providing low quality products and services, they're not going to have customers. They're not going to have repeat customers. Timothy himself said that he's not going to go back there and shop, or if he does, he's going to warn other people to be very careful. And so if a business is not receiving sales, they're not receiving money, they're not going to be able to stay open for very long. So customers are always measuring the level of quality, whether you see it or not. And this is a pretty important message for us to really get down deep, because sometimes we want to gloss over this. We think they may not notice, but customers are always measuring and customers are always talking about your product or your service. Do you want them praising or do you want them criticizing your business? And I've heard this many times, and there's different numbers depending on the studies. But as a minimum, studies have shown that unhappy customers will tell twice as many people about their bad experience than if they had a good experience. Meaning, like Timothy and the shoes that were low quality. Studies have shown that he's bound to tell 10 to 20 people about his poor experience. I mean, today he's already told how many people are on the call, 17, and over 20 people when we're all together. And if he has a good experience, we didn't hear about the other 10 good experiences that he had. And so studies have shown Timothy is likely to just tell maybe one or two, three people about his good experience. So there is growth there. There is a value in a good experience, but a negative experience has an exponential factor of impact on your business. Happy and not happy customers become walking billboards in your community. So what do you want them walking around telling their family and friends on the billboard that they're carrying with them? Do you want them saying, go there, that was a great deal at a great price, you should go there, or don't ever go back to that location? Interesting enough, there are three stories in this lesson. The first two, God has given me the unfortunate grace of happening in the last couple weeks. And I kind of chuckled as I was reviewing the stories and thinking about them. But the first story, here's a picture of my wife and I. This was taken just last Saturday. Last Saturday was our 16th anniversary, wedding anniversary. And so we thought, hey, let's go out and get some good food. Thank you, Denise, for the confetti emoji. Yeah, we've been married 16 years. This is our first time since having all four kids. We have four kids. This is our first time going out and having dinner just by ourselves without the kids. My grandparents are watching the kids. We had a night all to ourselves. We were so excited. And so we went out, and long story short, I must have eaten something bad at this restaurant because the whole night I was up in the restroom feeling horrible. The next day, even feeling horrible. I was dog tired. I was super tired because I'd been up all night and not feeling good. And so right now, what is happening? I am telling you and anyone that ever comes in the Tulsa area, don't go to the restaurant called Mezcal. I don't know what it was that I ate there, but something did not agree with my stomach. And I paid the price for it. Really took about 3 days for me to get back to feeling feeling normal. And this just so happens to be the first story in our book, right? About Kenneth, him wanting to celebrate, taking his family out to a good restaurant. The restaurant owner cut some corners with the quality of food, with the meat that he was serving. And same thing happened there. He ended up telling Kenneth and his family ended up having to cancel engagements and appointments and telling people why. Why? Because I ate some bad food. There's low quality at this business. Don't go there. And that's exactly, unfortunately, what happened to me. So unfortunately, I have to be a witness to this truth that customers talk. So why do I need to implement the law of quality? Let's dive deeper into a high quality product. A high quality product or service at a fair price is necessary for a customer to trust you. We think that we see money as the main currency, right, of our business. If we don't have money, we don't have a business. We can't survive without it. It's the lifeblood. But if you go one step further upstream, one step further up to the root of what money is trust, right? I mean, even just money itself is trust. We trust that the piece of paper or the coin that we have has value, and that when we give that to somebody, that they will give us something in return. And so trust is the basis of your business. If a customer can't trust you, then as soon as they can find someone trustworthy, more trustworthy than you, they will go there to do their product or to purchase their product or service. So a customer that trusts you will repeat their purchase in the future. And a repeat customer will become a loyal customer. And a loyal customer yields great profits for your company. You're not having to advertise and find new customers. This gets you out of the battle to be the lowest price business in your area. And we'll get into more of that price battle in the next few slides. And having loyal customers gives you kind of the margin, the bandwidth, the breathing room, whatever you want to call it. It gives you as a business owner a little bit of space to grow and to have a healthy business, because you have those loyal repeat customers that you can count on that come back every time that they, like in Timothy's instance, every time that they need a pair of shoes, or every time that they're ready for a good meal. And you're not having to go and search and find new customers, every day or every week. So the price to quality trade-off. In general, lower products and services, lower quality, have lower prices. And this is a big generality, and this is kind of something that is evident. But when you are battling to be the lowest price of your product or service in your area, then what you are doing, you are setting out. Your product is attracting a certain kind of customer. And when you want to be the lowest price, you're attracting price-focused customers. And price-focused customers have their number one priority: what's the lowest price I can find for this product or service? They don't care if they buy from you or the next guy two steps down from you, 2 stalls down for you, around the corner. And we all do this with some products, right? I mean, if we're talking about something that's very simple, let's say if you just need to get, a bag of rice. I mean, rice is kind of, I mean, there's different qualities of rice, but for the most part, when we need to feed our family, right, we want to find just decent rice. So we don't care if we buy it from this shop or from that shop, or something like that. And so there's a lower ability to develop that customer relationship, because you remove that part of the element out, and people are just focused, price-focused customers are just focused on the price. Where can I get the lowest price? Whereas higher quality products and services usually tend to have a little bit higher price. But the good thing about this is that you are attracting quality-focused customers. These are customers that are looking for the best possible product or service, that they see and are weighing in their customer balance. Okay, what value am I getting from this? What extra is there any extra quantity? Is there any extra added value in this? And those tend to be the better customers for you to go after. Not to say that you won't have some price-focused customers, but if you are putting your energy into developing quality-focused customers, then that gets you out of the endless price battle with just trying to be the cheapest business or the cheapest service or product that you can be. Because if you're competing to be the lowest price around, it's only a matter of time before a bigger business comes in and starts competing with your lower price. Or a similar business to you is willing to have less profit on that item or items that you also carry, because they are able to take a loss on that because they're trying to promote sales on another item. And if we look at, this is a great example of this, is Mama Chobe from the lesson, the last story in the lesson, where their Mama Chobe is wanting to sell dresses and start a dress selling shop. And then also someone that she knows is also selling dresses. And at first she has remorse because she missed out on the opportunity to buy a huge quantity of dresses super cheap off the shipping container from China and to start selling those. And immediately, she would have a business. She'd have a shop where she had tons of good looking dresses that she could start selling cheap. Problem was they were cheap quality dresses. And when word starts getting around and people started realizing that those dresses were low quality, people aren't going to come back and be a repeat customer. And then what happened also in the story? Another person just around the corner was able to buy double the quantity that she bought. And so they were able to lower the price even lower. And so when you're battling to be the lowest price around, a lot of times that puts you in handcuffs. Because if you're having to lower your price, then you put yourself in these handcuffs where that's your only tool, your only lever that you can pull to pull customers closer to you. That reduces your ability to increase your quality, to increase the value that you add. So really be careful. And our advice is to not try to be the lowest price around. So has anyone seen this happen? I'd love to hear from your own examples. Have you guys seen a story like Mama Chobe or similar where two businesses or your business were competing to be the lowest price around and how it just suffocated the business? It suffocated your profits and really had a negative impact, and it's just a cycle. Has anyone seen anything like that, witnessed it in your community? Please jump in.
Yes, sir.
Go for it.
I've ever operated a retail shop. That was 2016.
Mm.
And actually, I was renting, and the person I was competing with was the owner of the building I was renting from.
Oh,
So I wanted to, because I was new in business, I didn't know anything about business, but I wanted to sell more.
yeah.
So I ended up making a price cut of either 50 Uganda shillings or 100.
Mm.
I succeeded because at first I was selling about 150,000 a day. Then I jumped up to about 200, 250, 300. But 6 months down the road, I had closed the business and he was operating. So I learned that price competition can never make you, because I'd made customers trust me and look to me for lower prices, and yet we're getting our products from the same sources. Even when the prices came higher, I wouldn't make them higher because I wanted to maintain them. And in
Right.
the long run, it's business. So it is very deadly, and I have a personal experience with that.
Wow. Thank you, Pastor Manyanja, for sharing. And that's a great example, right? Because we're not even getting into the record keeping or the number side of this, but that's a big part of it too. Like you're explaining, when you lower your prices, now your customers have an expectation of a price being down, down here. And then what happens when your cost of the wholesale that you're buying raises up? You have a choice then of not being the lowest price around. And so do you do that, or do you do like what you did, Pastor Manyanja, where you are keeping your prices artificially low and not even realizing it? And then another part of this, and this is an exercise I just went through because I was considering a large purchase. I was looking at a business and looking at the numbers and going through the numbers of the profit and loss. And at first glance, it looked okay. It was a kind of, the business model was based on being a low price, battling in the price side. But then it looked okay at first. But then once I started considering some of the things that you may not think of right off the bat when you're setting the price of your product, some of the overhead, some of the fixed costs like rent, like you said, Pastor Manyanja, like rents or equipment that you have to buy and replace in a few years, or electricity, or any of your other utilities. A lot of those things, it's hard for a lot of times with us as entrepreneurs and business owners. We see, okay, I bought this shoe for $1, I think I need to make maybe 10% or 20%, so or 50%. We'll sell it for $1.30. But we're not calculating and going through our records and saying, wait a second, I need to factor in my rent. That's 5 cents for every pair of shoes that I need to sell. And what about the bags that I'm giving customers, or the advertising that I did on the radio station, or whatever? We have to factor in all of those things. And if we don't, we are unknowingly losing money with every sale that we have. And a lot of times that escapes our vision, escapes our observation, because we're not taking into consideration all of the costs that go into selling our product. And that's also all of these laws that we're teaching and going over are linked. That's also why we encourage you to start small, because there may be no way of you knowing that that you'll need to buy new metal bars to put on the front of your store. You may not have a clue that that's something that you need to do. But after you get broken in the first time, you think, okay, I've got to spend money to put metal bars on my storefront. And if you do that small with a small business, you learn that small, and you're able to project that for the next business, the next time you grow. And so you're able to incorporate that into your price, so you know, okay, where is my price with this? Am I able to be the lowest price? Do I need to figure out some ways to add value so that I'm a quality-based product, that I'm attracting quality-based customers? So great. Thank you, Pastor Manyanja, for jumping in there and being brave. I appreciate it. Now, pursuing high quality for your business. High quality products and services, they build trust. They build that currency that we need to have with our businesses. So has anyone experienced this, either with being a customer, buying a high quality of product or service that's really just been, wow, this is great, or also experience this as a business owner, seeing the benefit of having a high quality product or service? Will someone jump in? Otherwise, I'll have to call on you, and that might be awkward. Anyone have an experience either buying a product or service, or selling one, buying one as a customer or as a business owner, a high quality product or service that you've experienced? Anybody?
I've bought one recently. It was meant to be like a subscription base, something kind of similar to Canva, but it was a bit different. And they had a lot of advertising, a lot of promotion. And I started off with the basic one, but before you can even hit send, they've sent you 5 emails to upgrade. So you're thinking, wow, this must be some good stuff, So now I'm scrounging money together to upgrade. That's the most horrible program I've ever. Matter of fact, I didn't do anything with it. I went back to Canva. So the thing is, how many people would be ripped off before they would ever know the company is not good? And so even if the company's going to lose their credibility, they probably make millions off of the masses, and it just leaves a bad taste. So even, I guess, as a business owner now in the making, I would want to make sure that, just for ethical reasons, that I'm not cheating people, even if I can get away with it. Right. That would be my piece.
Yep. And that's an important thing for us to remember. I'm glad you brought up that point, Denise, is that it always comes back around, right? That's one thing that we see and we know from the scriptures, that no matter what, no matter what the sin is, sin will always be found out, and it will always come to light. The deeds of the righteous are rewarded, right? And the deeds of the wicked are punished. We see that over and over and over again through scripture. But a lot of times we see in the business world, we think, man, those guys are getting away with it. Like, this is crazy. Maybe I can do the same thing. No, payday is someday. And then the bigger that balloons, the bigger that explosion will be, right? And so that's one thing as business owners that really, and that's an important thing of being in a good group with other Christians, of having the group discussion to encourage each other when we come to that decision point, of being like, no, we know that it's hard. The straight and narrow path, it's hard. It's easier to go down the wide path and to cheat on your taxes, to fudge the numbers, to not really report all of your earnings or expenses to the government because it'll save you thousands of dollars. It's easy to do that, but the right way, we've got to continue to go down the right path, because also we know and we've been promised in the scriptures that, man, payday is someday, and God is a rewarder of those that earnestly seek him, and seeking him is doing what's right. So that's a good one, and that's what we need to continually encourage each other in our groups, your friends, your family members, especially when we have those hard decision points. And that brings us to a great scripture that ratifies this too, Colossians 3:23. Whatever we do, work at it with all of our heart as working for the Lord, not for human masters. So even strip out all of it, strip out the government, strip out the IRS, strip out the repercussions of losing customers, of being in the price battle, strip all of that out. And if it's just you making making your beautiful cakes or your beautiful chapati, if it's just you doing that before God, what does your business look like? What does it look like? Are you bringing heaven to earth in your creation, in your business? Are you bringing heaven to earth, even how you keep track of your records and your details and the numbers of your business? We have the opportunity to do that. God has given us the opportunity to create heaven on earth here with our hands and with our minds. Are we doing that? So you, as a business owner, determine the level of quality, and you must set the standard for what's acceptable and unacceptable. And I guarantee, Denise, at the top of that business, that application software subscription that you at the top of that, the level of quality and the level of transparency and customer care, that's set at the top. That's not something that the hourly employees down at the bottom get to determine. No, that is set by the leader. The leader is the one that's setting the direction, whether that's setting the direction for high quality, for integrity, or for low quality, or for cheating the customer, or for doing a bait and switch program. And we see this in the example of Kenneth and the restaurant, the first story in this lesson. See this painfully in my own story last weekend, that the business owner, he is either directly or indirectly, he's the one where all of the responsibility comes to a head on the quality of the product or service that they're offering. And so this is the important question. How do your customers see you? Do they see you as a high or low quality business? Like Pastor Manyanja, his customers, when they were talking to each other, most likely they were saying, this is the lowest price around. If you want the lowest price, go there, which can have its benefits. Like we're not saying that that's bad, that's evil, but also you have to go into it with your eyes wide open, knowing that restricts your ability that restricts your ability and the tools that you have as a business owner to increase your sales, to have repeat customers, because you have a limited amount of tools at your disposal to attract customers and to take care of them. It's just the price lever, and that is a hard lever to be able to run a business solely off of. So as you're determining with your customers on what their view of your quality of your business, then a good way to do that is to test it. Test it with your IBB club members. Test it with your family or friends. We all have one or two family members, right, that we know that we kind of don't like to go and ask their opinion because they're a little bit too harsh. Like when you present them something and you want them just to praise it and just say, wow, this is great. Like your mom, a lot of time our moms do that, right? They're our biggest cheerleaders. And so we say, Mom, look at this, like look at this thing that I made. Look at my business, And a lot of times they go, sweetie, you're doing so good. God is blessing that. God bless you. But then you take it to your older sister, your brother, and they're like, man, what are you thinking? Like, this is ridiculous. Or maybe it's your cousin or your best friend. But we need to have someone that gives us real feedback. Because if you can find that person and if you can really lean into them to say, hey, look, just give me honest feedback. Maybe it's some people in your group. I hope that the people in your group, that your accountability partners, that they're brave enough to do this and step up and to be that sounding board. Because if you have the sounding board early in your business journey, it's going to save you a world of hurt later on, right? It's like that lady that has a dress that does not look good on her. What does she really want when she asks her friends before she leaves the house? Not after she leaves the house, before she leaves the house. She wants to have a friend that says, I know that you think that looks good on you, but it looks embarrassing. Like you want that friend that will save you from embarrassment before you leave the house and you present yourself to the world, before you step into the wedding and there's no going back. And that's what it's like with your business. You want to have your friend inside your house, your family member, your close trusted person inside your house to give you that hard advice of, look, it's gonna take some time. It may take some money. You got to fix these things before you step into the world and there's no going back with your business. So that is the importance of having a group, the importance of testing it. It's starting small and fixing those things, experimenting, changing ingredients, changing your price, changing the value that you're adding to it at a small scale before you make multiple versions of it and multiple of them and present it to the world. And also be gracious. That's something that I have trouble with. I worked on a project recently with my wife, and my wife is that person that is just in the most beautiful way harsh with her feedback. Like she says, you got to change this. And I want her to say, this is lovely, this is beautiful, you did such a good job. I love this, and this about it, but maybe you should think about changing this. Like that's what I want to hear. No, she doesn't say that. She says, you got to change this. Like, okay, next thing. Ooh, I guess that's good. All right, next thing. Oh, no, you got to add this and this to it. And so when you're receiving that feedback, you have to remember your friend or family, they do love you. But if you are being resistant, if you're pushing back, if you're defending your book or defending your food, the food that you made, if you get into defense mode, then you're going to lose that relationship and the ability to receive and give feedback from your trusted advisor. And it's worth it. It's painful, but it's worth it. So when you go into these times when you're testing and you're wanting to get feedback on the quality, especially the quality of your business, you got to go in with grace, and you got to go in with not tired, not stressed out, but with your bucket full, so that you're able to absorb the painful feedback and really implement it for the health of your business. All right, perceived value. Perception of your quality by others is very important. That's what we're just talking about with talking and listening to feedback. Now, educating your customer. Let's say you've received some good advice and some good feedback, and now you've improved the quality of your product. That there's other competitors in your market. Customers will need to know what separates your product from other low quality products and why it's a better value overall. Especially if you're stepping into a higher quality offering to your customers, if you've improved it, then you will have to educate them. A good example of this is our leader in Tanzania, Elia. I think it might have been 6 years ago. It was a while ago, but he had a little chapati business where he's making chapati. And are you guys familiar? Is everyone, give me a thumbs up if you're familiar with chapati. I just barely know a little bit about it, but his story is about chapati. Anyways, it's like kind of like a tortilla, right? Flatbread. It's a food. It's let's just call it a type of bread, just for simplicity. So there's a lot of other people that are making this type of bread in his community. But he experimented with ways to make it, experimented with some ingredients, and he was able to make chapati, this bread that didn't just last for one day. That the next day it was actually still good and tasty. That it hadn't gone stale, it hadn't gone bad, he was able to do it for the same price. So he had to go in, and as he was selling to his customers, and I think he sold to restaurants, he was able to tell them, look, mine is a little bit more expensive than these other guys, I think, and now that I'm remembering, his was a little bit more expensive. Same product. Said, but tomorrow it's just as good as it is today. Whereas my competitors, I know that they start tasting a little different, start tasting a little funky tomorrow, a little crunchy. But when you're doing that, you need to be honest. So as you're developing your quality, the quality of your products, you have to keep in mind, okay, customers, they may not realize this right off the bat. So I need to know, I need to be able to educate my customers. All right. And let's look here. The quality of your work in the long run is the deciding factor of how much your services are valued by the world. This is a great way to just summarize what we've been talking about today. The quality of your work in the long run is the deciding factor of how much your services are valued by the world. If we have a low quality product or service, there's a low value that the world, that our customers place on it. If we have an amazingly high quality product, then there's an amazingly high level of value that's placed on it. And so this is just something that we need to keep in mind. Where do we want to land with our quality? Do we want to be battling it out on the low price end? And that's not necessarily bad or evil. That's okay. You just have to go into that eyes wide open, knowing that, okay, I've got slim profit margins. I've got to have the law of systems down like crazy. I've got to have my record keeping down like crazy, because when you have small profit margins, if you're not taking into account and seeing everything that goes into the offering of your product or service, then your business is going to start losing blood, losing money, losing profit, and it will suffer and maybe die. So you have that option, and it's not, again, it's not bad, but you just have to know what you're stepping into. That's the price battle, lower quality or lower price. Or do I want to take the effort to offer a high quality product or service? That's going to take more work on your end to develop it, possibly. It's going to take a little more work for you to offer that to your customer. But there's more margin there. For the long run of your business, there's more opportunity for your business to grow, to flourish, to weather the storms, and to have a profitable business in the long run. So, all right. Wow, right around 45 minutes. I wanted to hit around here because I want to hear questions from you guys. First, let's do questions, if we can, focused on quality, on what we've been covering today. And then if we run out of questions on quality, then I want to open it up to questions on any of the topics that we've covered so far. So, does anyone have any questions, anything to clarify, anything specifically on today's lesson that we could dive in a little bit deeper?
Yes, I have a question, Teacher Daniel.
Yes, sir. Pastor Manyanja, go for it.
From my experience, I'm running a school. Running a school for the last 7 years. And one of the things I've realized, looking at what I'm going through right now, where my business, I'm running with my wife, Efrance, but where our business is right now, we have found ourselves in a loans trap, in a borrowing trap, and we are almost losing the business. And one of the things that happened without our knowledge, which is just a lesson now, we wanted so much to maintain the quality of the service that we give. We paid the teachers well, and the entire service delivery, we maintained it at a very high cost. That's what we are learning now, because a fellow pastor, Pastor Emmanuel, is also running a school. But when we discussed, his quality was high, but he had tried as much as possible to maintain a lower cost of maintaining the quality. Now, what would be the best way to keep quality, but also try to balance the cost of maintaining that quality? From experience, maybe it can help.
Yeah. And so that's a great question, because we all have that question, right? We know that we want to have high quality, but how high a quality? If we're building a house, it would be awesome to build a house out of pure gold, the highest quality or the best materials. But then the question is, are there customers? Is there a demand for that level of quality? Am I spending too much money on the input of this to be able to sell it in the market? And so the first thing we need to do, and it sounds like you have the first step, but the first thing that we need to do is to go back and look at our law, look at the law of record keeping. We'll get there. It's in about 4 more lessons. But look at your records. Look at all of the costs that you have involved, so that you can see what is your baseline right now with everything that you have at your disposal for what you're selling. In your case, you're selling education. What is the cost, the true cost per child? And then we're able, from that baseline, we're able to look at the market and do some research, do some experimenting. So once you get your baseline, say you realize, okay, it's $100 for a whole year for one child to be educated at our cost. That's not making a profit or anything. That's just the cost for us to have the doors open, and for the teachers to be paid, and the minimum of everything we need for that. So we got to determine first, what is our cost of goods sold? And also, in our cost of goods sold, the other cost is, what are our operating expenses? What are the operating expenses? So we got to know what all of our costs are involved in that. Then once we have that, we can start doing some research, asking the other schools around, how much are you charging? Ideally, it's in your community. I know that sometimes it's hard to do research with competing businesses in your community. So you can either have friends or family find out the information for you. You can call and contact other church or other schools that are not in your community and explain, look, I'm not competing with you. We're in a different province. I just need to know some information. How much are you charging? Or better yet, you just call and say, another school, and say, I'm interested in your school. What is the charge for a child? And you are interested in their school, and you are just wanting to know the charge for the child. So do some research. That gives you some information on the market side, okay? These other schools, about how many students do you have? Okay, you have 30 students. Oh, what is your price for admission? Okay, your price is $110 per student, or maybe it's $90 per student. Once you start doing that with 3, 4, 5 businesses that what you could say are direct competitors, then you can start building a picture, painting a picture of what the area demand is for the product or service that you are offering. Once you get that, you look at what your costs are and your level of quality, and you're able to compare your quality. How does your quality compare with what you know about your competitors? Is it higher or is it lower? Now look at price. Now, is your price, how does it compare with your competitors? Is your price higher or lower? And you may need to make some adjustments. You may find that you need to lower your price. And if you need to lower your price, that means that maybe you have to make some reductions in your quality. And that's not always a bad thing. Your business, you're going to have to make adjustments over time, do some experimenting. And you can even do that with your experimenting. You could even set, perhaps a lot of schools will have their younger grades or the younger children a little bit cheaper than the older grades. At least in our community, that's how it is. There's less involved. So you could experiment. Okay, I'm setting the price a little bit lower for grade 1, a little bit higher for grade 5, and we can see how did that impact my enrollment for this year. So you got to have your record keeping. You have to do some research with your competitors, do some experimenting, and then you'll be able to have a little bit more of an idea of what is the mark of quality that I want to shoot for, and then how do I achieve comparing with your competitors and the people in the area and your customers. That's something I haven't mentioned, but very important, is asking and researching with your customers and that's what we talked about today, getting their insight. How do you feel that this education that you're receiving, that your child is it a high quality? Is the price too high? Is the price too low? I mean, of course, most people are going to say, yes, the price needs to be lower. So you have to be careful on how you ask those questions just to get honest feedback, but to be asking your customers and to be doing research with your customers as well. So that is kind of a bigger picture, but you have to take into consideration a couple of different elements to figure out where your level of quality is, where the demand for the level of quality in your community is it higher or lower, and then either adjust. If your level of quality is high and you think that there's room and demand in the market in your community for a high level, then you might have to go and educate your customers to let them know, yeah, our price is high, our quality is high, but look, our students are going to be ready for university 6 months before any of the other schools, and this is why, because we have this plan. You may have to do something like that. You may have to educate your customers if you determine that your level of quality is higher than the current understanding by current people in your community is. Or maybe if you realize that, then maybe you need to adjust your quality and lower it a little bit. So does that help, Pastor Manyanja? Does that give you a little bit to think on, to work with? You're on mute if you're wanting to contribute. Okay. Well, I hope that helped out. That was a great question, a tough question, but a great one. Does anyone else have another question in terms of quality and price?
Hello.
Yes, Sandra, go for it.
I wanted to add on that the question for
Yes, please.
Pastor Mayanja. From my own experience,
yes,
where I was working, our prices were quite high and everyone was complaining about the prices. But what kept the customers around and people coming was customer service. We had prioritized in customer service. We're offering the best customer service. We had gotten awards in Uganda for the best customer service bank. So you would find the customer service kept people coming. And every time you're marketing out there, you're like, that bank is for the rich. But where do you get customers? So everyone who comes inside is like, I love your turnaround time. I love your customer service. And that used to keep people coming despite it was, I don't want jam. That is the best bank. They are fast and the customer service is good. So sometimes when you set your product on market, it may be quite high, but if it's worth it, trust me, the customers will be there. They're like, they have the best product. The money is worth it. They will purchase it. They will support you no matter what. Even schools, when our parents are prioritizing where to take us, the parent will say, I don't have the money, but I'll look for it. Because probably they are good. My child is disciplined. She was like this, but now she's still like, that's cool. Impact discipline in these children. Or there is something good that you need to specialize about that will keep attracting people to come for services from your place or buy your products. So I think as you're doing your business, you're supposed to pick something that has to keep your business growing, something you should be proud of, and anyone, my clients know, my people know, my parents of my pupils, students know that this is the best school because of ABC. That's why they keep bringing their children. That is my view.
Yes, that's great.
Thank
That's
you.
great. Thanks you, Sandra. That is a great point, that you can add value simply by your customer service. That's not, you're not spending money on new paint for your business or a more expensive teacher. It's simply taking care of your customer. And that's next week's law is customer development and treating your customer, the golden rule that we find in the scriptures. Treat others as you wish them to treat you. And customer service is a huge part. And what I would add to what Sandra said is you may at some point lose a customer because the prices are lower. But I guarantee some, if not all, they will come back once they experience lower customer service, once they experience the what you get with the lower price business. If you continue to keep that reputation of having great customer service, as Sandra said. That was great. Does anyone else have, like Sandra offered up, does anyone else have any other thing that they would add in your experience on contributing to Pastor Manyanju's question?
Maybe one other thing I noticed.
Hello? Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Sandra.
One more thing I noticed, it may not be so friendly to the employees, to your workers. The customer is always right. No matter what argument they are having, or your worker is okay, is right, do not show the client that you are in wrong here. No. You have to always protect your customer. The customer is always right. That was one golden rule. Customer is always right. The customer is never wrong. To give them that comfort and all that. People come with different mood swings and all that. So we have to understand that whatever approach the customers come in, you are able to handle them. But sometimes you walk to a place and someone's like, man, this person has attitude. That keeps many customers away. Like, every time I go to that woman's shop, she's rude. So when you're in business, attitude matters a lot towards your clients, and maybe creating a rapport, like creating a friendship with your customers is key. Now, like those in schools, the parents of these kids should be your friends. Can they confide in you? Can you handle their problems? Because parents come with different problems. What is your approach? How do you handle that? So also creating a friendship, the rapport with your clients is something good. Maybe those ones, different services, but are those services where you may require to do customer visits. Surprise your customer. Hello, how are you? How is business? All that. You can surprise them. It can be a birthday, and you're like, happy birthday, and the person is surprised, because as you're creating friendship, there are those small details you get to know about your customer. Small details. You may leave your shop and like, next Friday is my son's birthday. You're like, oh wow, beautiful. So when that time comes, surprise them. Just tell them, I just wanted to say happy birthday to your son. Can I just maybe sing for him a happy birthday song? That will keep in the customer's mind. Even if he wants to go somewhere, they'll be like, the other person. The friendship, that friendship. So you create also that friendship. Make sure you don't have that gap, customer gap. You need to create that friendship. Check on your clients. What's not happening? People in schools, I'm basing on Pastor Mayanja's situation. You can call the parent, like, what's wrong? What's not happening? It is ABC. Share, give that parent that environment where they can express their feelings and whatever they are going through. Be like a concerned person. You're concerned about them. Check on them. Like, you haven't paid school fees for that class. What's not happening? And know how to handle them. Trust me. When they don't have, they are there. Even when they get, they will be there. They will keep recommending. Keep recommending. Because apparently, giving an example, where my son goes to school, there is a distance, but most of us are there because this person is our friend who keeps checking on you. Like, how are you? How are the children? There's that friendship the director created with us. Even when you want to change the child, you find it hard. Like, I need to take my child maybe to another school, but like, she'll check on you. That time has begun. I haven't yet seen your child. Is everything okay? Some things like that. The friendship also matters a lot to create that friendship between us and the customers. Thank you.
Yes, yeah, that's a great point. That friendship builds, friendship is a relationship, right? Relationship builds trust, and trust is what is the currency of our businesses. And what Sandra was saying, I've seen in some, especially younger grades, schools that have very young children, that they have been building, they work hard to build a relationship between the parent and the school and the child. And so regularly they're sending messages, either pictures or emails or text, or it can even just be written notes of the teacher's observation of the student. You know, we did this today with your student, it was fun. Or we did this experiment, or we're learning this this precept. And so keeping that relationship open and working hard, that's a big value add for parents, right? Because most parents that are paying for education, what's their goal? Their goal, you have to think, what is my customer's goal? What are they really wanting here? Parents want their kids to be educated, and they want their kids to have the best chance to be the best version that they can be of themselves. So the more that you're able to communicate and have that relationship, the more the parents trust that is happening. And the more, if there's something that's a little off, you're able to correct that and to adjust any concerns or worries before that grows to a big enough problem to where your customer, the parent, decides to stop buying from you and go to another location. So I think that's a great point, Sandra. The more that you can build relationship, and the more that you build that trust, the more you build that trust, the more revenue that will come in. And a lot of times that doesn't have to cost us a lot of money. It costs us time at the end of the day to write some notes to each of the parents, to talk with your teachers and say, I want to make it a goal for you as a teacher to send a personalized note to each family at least once a semester, just updating the student. Or if you're more ambitious, every month, I'd like just a short note that gives the parents an update on their child's progress and what they can be doing at home to reach this goal of having an educated child. So some of it can be value added through the relationships, and it doesn't necessarily have to cost much more time, much more money. Sometimes it costs time. That's a great point. And that's a principle that can be adapted to almost any business, is building relationships with our customers. Great point. Thank you, Sandra, for contributing. Look at this. It's feeling more like a classroom. I love it. Timothy, I think that you had popped on. Did you have a question or a comment to add? Or was it Victory?
Yes, I would like to ask a question.
Go for it.
Thank you very much for the teaching and for the lessons. I personally operate a business that offers services, consulting services to organizations. And one of the services we offer is organization development or leadership training. And I would want to know, how can I have performance indicators? What performance indicators would you maybe recommend, or how we can develop performance indicators to assess the quality of the services offered by the company, and just how can we use these indicators to improve for having continuous improvements in the quality of the services? Yeah, I think that would be my question.
So to make sure I understand you correctly, you're wanting to know, how can I get more insight on what the level of quality that my customers are perceiving our business at? Is that Is that correct?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Well, let me open that up first to the class. Does anyone, you said, Victory, that you're in a consulting and business development sector, right? That kind of business?
Yes,
So,
working with organizations.
go ahead. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, offering we have tools that we offer to help organizations to develop and tools to diagnose the performance of different organizations. But so we want to know how effective are our tools that we're using within these organizations.
Mhm.
What kind of indicators could we have to know that the quality we're offering is one of a high standard compared to our competitors, or just satisfactory to the customer?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What kind of
Great.
indicators would we have to, and also to have a method to study
Good evening.
to know that
I have a small inquiry.
we can
Can
continuously
I have
improve.
your mobile money this night? I have to move out.
Sorry, that's Sandra.
Yeah.
How can we use these tools to these indicators to improve our services, to improve the quality?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good question. That's important for just the lifeblood of your business, the revenue, understanding how can we see and establish our level of quality in regards to how the customer is seeing us, and then how do we improve that level of quality. Does anyone have anything to contribute? Anything that ideas, thoughts, experiences that you've had? I'd love for us to for folks to pitch in.
I'm back again about key performance indicators. Is that what he's trying to ask about?
Mhm.
Can I get the question again, please?
Yeah, to summarize, kind of a two-part question. One, how can we for Victory, how can he understand the level of perceived quality that the customer perceives of their business? How can he understand that? And then also, how can he increase the level of quality and services offered for his customers? And they're in the business consulting and kind of business improvement category. Is that give me a thumbs up, Victory, if that was a good summary?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Okay, from my own experience, how we used to do it, they used to entertain customer feedback. Customer feedback was something they used to do on a monthly basis or on a weekly basis. They would randomly pick a client. They call the client and they're like, "Hello, ABC, we are calling from this and this. We'd like to know, are you satisfied with our services? Where would you want us to change? What do you think?" Like things of that sort. And trust me, the clients will give you feedback, even the ones you do not expect. The other day I was here and this person, they would quote us by name. If they don't know, be like, there's a person who sits here and here it is ABC. So customer engagement will give you what you're looking for. Maybe another one that used to do for us was social media handles, making sure they are responding. You respond to the customer inquiries, customer questions now and then. When you make sure you respond to them, you'll get more feedback from the clients. And also giving these key performance indicators to your own customers, to your own workers. It starts from your own workers. They should have key performance indicators because everyone at their desk has targets to meet and how they should handle them. I don't know if that has helped answer that question. Hello?
Yes, Sandra.
I don't know if it has been of help, because you'd find like everyone at their desk has key performance indicators, KPIs. We used to call them KPIs. Then you'll also find that we had to, how should I say, appraise. There's something called appraising. You appraise your fellow workers. You appraise yourself. Someone else appraises you. Your supervisor appraises you. Your top bosses appraise you. And at the end of it, they'll come with a mark. And they will tell you whether they're satisfied with your performance or not. If you're doing a disservice or you're doing a service to the company, then at the end of it, either you're taken to disciplinary according. Then if you're good to go, there are benefits as well. Because when it comes like you needed to be promoted, the first thing they would look at are the results of your KPIs. How is this person performing? They don't just promote you just like that. So I don't know if that can be of help in any way, but customer engagement was always the best.
Yeah.
The feedback, most of our feedback would come from the clients. We had a specialized person for customers. They call them, engage them, apologize on our behalf. Where can we improve? This feedback was coming from our clients. What do you expect from us? Or where have we disappointed you? And I saw it working. I don't know if on your side it can be of help. Thank you.
I think, Sandra, you bring up a great point of really leaning in, of really looking to the customer for the answer to the question that you have. And what I would add to that is, as you're looking at your customers, identify your best 2, 3, 4 customers. Like, if you could have just customers like that, your life would be easy. Identify those top 2 or 3 customers and pour into them. There's a book called The Pumpkin Plan, and it really outlines the benefit of this and how huge or how successful businesses over and over again, if you dissect those successful businesses, you see that they implement this pumpkin plan. It describes how to grow the largest type of vegetable, like award-winning large vegetable. And the way that you do that is by identifying your best customers and then learning as much as you can about them, creating that relationship with them. And once you have that relationship created, then you're able to have that line of communication. Because if you just send out an email that's like a customer survey to all of your clients, like, what do you expect to get back on a return of an email? Like 4%, 5% completed and filled out. And that's not very useful, because maybe the only 4% or 5% that fill it out, those are the outliers, the few folks that are just frustrated, they had a bad day, they don't like your company, they're going over to their cousin's company. So that's not really a good way to understand, how can I keep my business on a trajectory towards success? How you can do that is look at your best customers and say, how can I get 10 more of these amazing customers? Well, let's learn about those amazing customers, learn what they need, learn what they like, learn what makes them tick. And that can only come out of a true, well, not only, the best and most thorough way to get that is to have a true relationship with that customer, to make them feel like they are king. That customer needs to feel like they're king. So give them feedback, give them personal calls, personal service. Your top 2 or 3 customers, not all of them. You don't have time to do that with all of them, but learn and really show your customer that you love them and that you are pursuing them, and that once you do that, you can start profiling and understanding not what every customer thinks of your business, but really what your best customers thinks of your business. And that way you can have a map, a roadmap, to go and find more customers that are like your best customers. And that will help you to determine, okay, this customer thinks, to adjust your level of quality to match what your top customers want and what they will pay for. Because if you already have that, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to understand how you can replicate that with your top customers. So really, I encourage you, write down a list, even today. Who are the top 2 or 3 customers that I love working with, that are easy to collect money, that pay the right fees, that they're great customers. Write those down. Now, this week, what's 2 or 3 ways I can engage with them and help them to feel like they are king? Give them that value first before you even start asking for them to contribute to key performance indicators. Build that relationship. Once you have that relationship, then you can start asking them questions and asking them to contribute and inviting them into the creation process, or inviting them into the offering of your product or your service. How can we make this better? What would be a better value to you? And as you do that, as you have that relationship, that'll help you to find and keep and develop your best customers into loyal customers and more of them. So, great question. Great question. Yes, Pastor Manyanja, I see another question.
No, it's not a question. I'm just being thankful for what you've given. You said the value will create the relationship, and then the performance indicators will come in. I can also add on something. Now that Victory says he's dealing with businesses and seeing how they can turn them around, I think they can also look at the impact they have created in a business. When we came to your business, it was performing so poorly. And after maybe 10 months of our advice and working with you, this is how much where you are. I think that can help practically to, find out their performance practically with how businesses were before enrolling on this program, and then how they came to be the position they came to be after our services to them. I think that can also help them, because it's a practical way to actually, even them, they'll be knowing, they will be testifying, and then love the service. Yes, sir.
Good. Yes. That's a great point. Thank you, Pastor. That was a great point. Great. Are there any more questions or questions about your business, about this lesson, or any other comments that we can have today?
Daniel, I just wanted to say thank you for the class.
You're welcome.
And for the participation. I'm having so much fun. We have very bright brains in this group.
Yes.
I think everyone, you need to exchange numbers.
Yeah.
But also, I had people commenting, and maybe this could be for next week, Daniel, if you run out of time, that the customer is king, and I really agree with that. But there is a part of me that wants to make the employee a king. Do you think I'm spiritual? I am lost.
Say again, you also...
I feel like if we make our employees the king or our priority, then it will eventually affect our customers.
Absolutely.
But then there is a philosophy that's been around for long that makes the customer the king, and then we don't prioritize the people.
Yeah. Yeah, that is you're absolutely right, Judith, because it's easy to say that customer is king, but then at what price, right? Are we sacrificing our employees' time, their stress, our own time, our own stress, our own money for the employee? Because yes, the customer is king, but you can't have a customer come in every day and ask for free things and still have a business, right? You can't have a business if your employees walk out because they're so frustrated. So functionally, the customers need to feel like they're king, that they walk in and that they feel like they're treated like royalty when they're in your business. But part of that is also your environment. And your environment is set with your relationship and establishment with your customer or with your employees. There's a very successful business here in town that's spread out through I don't know. I think they have like 50,000, maybe not 50. They have, I don't know, thousands and thousands of stores in here in America. It's a gas station convenience store. And they have the reputation of treating their employees really well. They pay their employees well, they train them, and they hire and promote employees within their business. And when you walk into those stores, you're greeted with a smile. They say, "Hey, how are you? Welcome to the store today." And so you feel like you're king walking into that store. And the employee is the touch point, right? The employee is the person that is the face of your business. And so the employee sets that tone. And if the employee is consistently feel like they're getting cheated, the employee feels like they have lower wages, if the employee is constantly looking around trying to find a better job, when they show up to work that day, are they going to have anything in their cup to pour out to other people? No. And so that's your job as an employer, as someone that's a leader. If you're running we've been talking about business, but guys, I want you to realize this is also directly applicable to your ministry, to your church, because your volunteers, even though they're not getting paid, they're employees. The people that are helping out with your church, even though they're not called employees, they're employees. If you are not pouring into them and filling up their cup, then they're showing up and they don't have a cup that's full to pour out to the employees. Their patience may be low. Their stress level may be high, and they may not be able to take a stressful engagement with a customer, because that's going to happen. So, Judith, I'm glad that you bring up that point, because that's exactly right. And that's part of the quality offering that we're offering our customers, is that quality environment where they feel like they're a king, they feel like they're royalty or a queen, they feel like they are getting taken care of. And to do so, the people that are interacting with the customer, our employees, the workers, they have to have their cups filled up. So we got to take care of them. We have to build our relationship with our employees too. And maybe that's with pay, but there's a lot of studies that show that pay raises have a temporal positive benefit on the morale of the employee. You give someone a pay raise, essentially, in other words, if you give someone a pay raise or a bonus, that's great. They feel that and they're happy for about a month or somewhere around there, a couple of weeks. So it has a very short shelf life. If you're thinking over the long term, you think, I give this person a raise, they should be happy for the next 2 or 3 years, right? Or a year. But no, it's happiness wears off depending on the person. Within a couple of weeks, they forget that and they're stressed out. And so what that means is it's not all pay, it's relationship, showing that you care, praying for your employee, and knowing what's going on in their life. Like Sandra was saying with the customer, knowing the birthday of your customer's child that's in the school. Her example is with the school with Pastor Manyanja. But the same thing is with your employee. Know their birthday. Know what grade their children are in so that you can congratulate them. Oh, they're graduating school this year. Congratulations. That's building that relationship, building that trust. And if you are filling them up, your employee, your coworker, then they will have a cup that they're able to pour out to the customers. And then the customers can feel like they're king. It's all linked. It's all related. That's a great point, Judith. I'm glad that you brought that up. And again, guys, this is a business principle, but also it's biblical, right? I mean, if we want to get real with this is how we're called to live as Christians. This is how we're called to treat others. I was even just reading today in believe it's Ephesians 5, don't quote me on that, but in Ephesians, where it's saying that wives are supposed to submit to their husbands, but husbands are supposed to lay down their lives for their wives. So we're supposed to be pouring into each other, submitting to each other, serving each other, not on a business platform. Husbands and wives aren't in a business transaction, but husbands are supposed to be serving their wife as if they're the king, laying down their life for their wives. And that's a principle that we are called to as Christians, as believers, that we're supposed to be laying ourselves down for each other. And that's That's building relationship. That's serving. And that's what we want to do with our employees and what we want our employees to do with our customers. All right. Any other? We're going long. I have time. I don't want to make anyone stay on here, but I have time. I'm happy to answer more questions, or to, more importantly, have you guys as a class contribute to each other from your own experience. So we're welcome. I'm happy to keep going here. If anyone needs to drop off, don't feel any shame. You know, we all have limited time. So I'm going to give that opportunity. You know, feel free to bow out when you need to. Otherwise, if there's another question or comment, we'll take that here real soon. Before too much time gets away from us, I want to make sure that everyone is aware of the take action, the homework for this week. There's a lot to think on, but these are a couple of good things to look at. Before the next lesson, write down 3 ways that you can check the quality level of your product or service before your customer receives it or pays for it. And then following up on that, what are 3 ways that you can increase the quality of your product or service? And I want to maybe limit you to only allowing only one of those 3 levels of ability of increasing your quality. Limit one of those to being linked to some form of money, a cost for your business. The other 2 ways I want to encourage you and challenge you. What are 2 ways you can increase the quality of your product or service without spending another dime, another shilling, any money, without spending any money? How can you increase the quality of your business, your product or your service without spending any direct money on material? Meaning using time, using energy, using resources that you already have in place to increase the quality. So that's the homework. But also, you know, hearing the questions from today, I feel like a few of us are going to have homework just on assessing the quality, like Victory was saying, assessing the quality of our offering and developing relationships. If you have an existing business, that's a good piece of homework for you to do, just off of the question that we had from Victory, is identify the top 2, 3, or 4 customers that you have. Identify them, the customers that you love and that you want to replicate, and look in and start exploring ways. How can I make them feel like king? How can I, without spending money in this next week, reach out to those top customers? Or Pastor Manyanja, for you, it's the top families that have maybe multiple kids in your school, or that are influential with other families. How can I reach out and build relationships with them this week? How can I increase? That's one way to increase the level of quality, is giving them a higher level of customer service, as Sandra had mentioned earlier with her comment on how valuable customer service is, how valuable and customer service is just another word for relationship. So how can I treat my top 2, 3, 4 customers as king, with exceptional customer development to find and develop more customers like that this week? So I want to make sure that we got that homework on our radar, on our sites for this week, and to discuss that next week with your groups.